Good morning, comic book fans. Fuck ice, and welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm going to have a short. I'm going to review Dead Teenage today. Yeah, I know, we did all that DC stuff, and I was totally going to review Deathstroke. I promise I was. I wasn't just pretending not like it for comedic effect. But then we totally sold out, and now I don't have to review it, so yay. But Dead Teenagers was on my list. It's one of those things where you don't really have to tell me much about some things, and I'll be like, yeah, cool, I'm going to check that out. And one of them is infinite time loops. Yes, I do like infinite time loop stories, and as much as it's everyone's problematic fave, Groundhog Day is still great, but honestly, go and watch Palm Springs instead. It is a superb take on the genre, and I think there's also a very nice episode of the more recent Twilight Zone remake stuff, which played around with a similar concept, and I like them. I think they're interesting ideas storytelling. They can add quite a lot to how you can frame a narrative, and you can play around with it quite a bit. So when Jude Ellison, S. Doyle, and Caitlin Yarsky putting their names on this one, I was like, right, okay, let's see what they do to kind of keep it interesting, especially in terms of a comic book, because with an issue one of something like this, usually the start of an infinite time loop story is just day one. And it kind of sets everything up so you can see, like, oh wow, this is repeating over and over again. And if you can do that for an issue one, it feels like the only way you can end it is to be like, oh wow, they're in an infinite time loop, and that'd just be like the most disappointing end to this story ever. So thankfully, we come in to this story at the point where the loop has been going on for a while, and we very quickly realise there's a lot of different stuff happening here. For a start, it's not just one person, it is a room full of kids in the 90s who looked like they were playing some kind of weird video game that's trapped them in this loop. But each loop is different, and when I say different, I don't mean like just the odd little variables, although the characters do talk about variables, how they can make decisions and how they can affect the status of the actual loop they're in at the time. But we're talking along the lines of they're going to prom, and in this particular one, there's a giant man-eating lizard there. And that's not the kind of thing that, putting on a different pair of socks will change the timeline to make that happen. I love it. I love that we're coming into it and we're already knowing that they're trapped in this loop, and we get some nice little details about how this loop is always going to play out the same, no matter how different it gets. Everyone is going to die, and they're going to die in a certain order, and it doesn't seem to matter what they do, they're going to always die in that order, and quite often they're going to add bits of their character into the way they die, and it's a very nice way of introducing characteristics. I thought this was a very, very clever beat, in that we get this idea of some people are just kind of flaky and mess around, and barely it turns up to the point where everything goes wrong before they die. We've got somebody who generally always tries to look after other people and die saving other people, and I think these little early character beats are brilliantly done while also adding to this arc of the infinite time loop. And then when we get to the end, we do hit the problem of how do you end the first issue here, because we know we're going to get like a few more issues out of this, and we can't just have the same thing happening over and over again. There needs to be some like interesting change going on. Yes, Groundhog Day could get away with just playing it out over and over again because it was kind of the first like mainstream story to do it, but everything else that I've seen messes around with this format. We already have the fact that everything is different is enough to mess around with it. We have the introduction of a potential sinister force, but that happens fairly early on in the story. We also get this idea that they can play around with their actions to change the variables, and that again is established reasonably early on. What happens is brilliant. I'm not going to say what it is. This is not like a Batwoman thing where it's going to make you go back and reevaluate the entire story. I don't think it's going to do that, but it is such a brilliant change to the core concept that I was like, right, okay, they have literally done every single thing right and done it well. Not just, oh, congratulations, here's a tick mark, you've progressed the story in ways which make great internal consistency, but you've done it with style. And also, because we're heading towards the end here, it looks great. It's another one which has like reasonably soft colouring, nothing too overwrought, but it feels on purpose, because yes, we do have some dark, because we have some shadow, because there is threat coming in, but for the most part what we're getting is, yes, ending in a variety of tragic, interesting ways. It's a day in the life of kind of story, and it feels like just going for a slightly, I mean, I don't want to say soft palette, it's not quite there, but we don't have like vibrant, over the top, smack you in the face colours. Some of the line work, it is quite simple, but effectively so. We don't have excessive detail thrown in there. We also don't have to worry too much about people not putting enough detail in. Everything that we need to see is in there. It just goes to add to this feel of I mean, I don't like using this term because it comes across as negative, but almost a monotony. It is just these people going through the same thing over and over again, wearing the same clothes. And yes, they're going to die in a variety of interesting and spectacular ways. But for the teenagers involved, it is just carrying on. It is just the same. And I like how the art and the colouring managed to feed into that while still looking really, really good. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.